Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Upset Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Latasha Hewitt, and we're ready to upset the fruit basket once again with another hot topic. I'm going to invite my fellow upsetters on at this time. How's it going, everyone?
All good.
Doing all right.
Good, fellas.
Yeah. It's good to see you guys again. And, one thing we realized out there is that we're all addicted. And some of you can probably relate to this addiction.
To the Lord.
Yes, we are addicted to Jesus, to the Lord, but there's another addiction. And if you're watching this, you're probably among them. And that's the addiction of technology. Uh-oh.
Some
Are you
people are
guilty?
off right now. I'm about to say that. Some people are
Yeah.
clicking off right now.
Guilty?
Yeah.
Weird.
Let me close my Instagram right now. I was scrolling. Let me stop.
But I don't think any of us really understand how deep this obsession, this addiction really goes and how targeted it is. And so Charles is going to lead us, drop some knowledge on us, and then we'll discuss it a little further. Go ahead, Charles. Chuck.
Well, I have been involved in technology. This topic comes up from time to time, when you look at apps and devices and social networks. And I wanted to start off with we want to talk about how the social media affects the mental health of teenagers. And I want to take it a little further. I think society at large.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the teenagers, although they have special response to technology and how they use it.
Right.
But that's where we want to go. But I want to start the discussion with nailing down how the app developers and the device developers plan in advance. There's an intentionality of how their devices and their apps are designed to attract individuals, specifically teenagers, to social networks, and even the devices have been manufactured so that they can, fly on these apps pretty well and connect, very well. And there's a video we'll put it in the show notes that I'd like for the viewers to click on and watch. It's a short video, 6 minutes, of two app developers, sort of in a remorseful sense, talking about how they now realize that their good intentions of developing apps on certain platforms was for, in fact, social media. I mean, we all know the story from Mark Zuckerberg. He said, I started Facebook on the campus. It was just going to be a little campus network. And well, you see where Facebook is now.
Right.
So good intentions ended up going in another direction. And then there are some shortfalls with the technology. And myself and the rest of you were very involved in technology. We love technology. We get up with it. We go to bed with it, whatever. But we've got to recognize that there are some dangers and there are some things that are affecting our young people in a big way. These two app developers talked in their short video of how they intentionally organize the apps, the social network apps, in such a way that it entices young people and it hooks them. And they do that with intentionality. They use a term called the jack, which is, a connector that you would connect to your computer or to a power source for your device. So they say in their mind, if we jack into young people, we know we have the connection. And then they move on to describe how their apps can be enticing, and they get into this infinite scrolling, which I think all of us at some point in some app, even if it's just email, infinite scrolling.
Yes.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Right. And they were on it for hours, And they have controlled intentionality with, like, for instance, they make reference to a Facebook control lever. In other words, they can get a group of teenagers together, all linked together on a topic or a subject or whatever. And if they want to sell something to those teenagers, they can just flip a switch and move all those teenagers to a particular ad platform. And without them knowing, they'll see ads with reference to the topic that they're discussing. And they'll say, how did they know that? How did they do that? Well, because they have some amazing switches behind the scene, and they're monitoring the Facebook traffic. So there's a lot of manipulation. And public health professionals have really been honing in on this subject, because as a result of all of these predetermined hooks and devices and programming, you've got young people that are starting to do some pretty hurtful things to each other and to themselves. In a 2018-2019 study, they're saying an estimated 63% of teenagers say they use social media every day, while 45% say that they're on the internet almost constantly.
And this was pre-pandemic.
This was pre-pandemic. Wow. And so this study was conducted in 2018. So you can imagine those percentages have skyrocketed.
Yep.
That's right.
And they during their study they say that there's some positive effects with social media, but usually when man gets their greedy hands on a platform, they're always going to find ways to make money at whatever cost, and even if it affects young people in a negative sense. The researchers have discovered that some teenagers are losing sleep due to social media at night. Some are more distracted from it during the school day. I mean, how many schools have restricted their cell phones from going in the classroom? Why is that? Because these young people are very clever. They know the technology very well. But the study also showed that there's a correlation of increased use or obsessive use to depression, anxiety, worsening self-esteem, and loneliness. And they said 21% of teens felt down about themselves after looking at social media. That feeling was related to their bodies. How about that? And I would think that's more on the female side. If a female doesn't feel she looks like, the images that are coming up on her phone, she starts to get depressed about that. So, I think what we need to really discover and fess up to is that in some instances, I feel, in my opinion, this has become a runaway train. We had good intentions. Cell phones are one of the greatest pieces of technology discovered and invented in modern times. And yet it has come back to bite us. And our young people are the ones that are really, really suffering. How many of us have read articles where young people have committed suicide as a result of some traffic on Facebook and being depressed?
Cyberbullying.
Yes, cyberbullying, exactly.
And not only that, self-esteem. Some of them have a problem that they didn't get enough likes or so it's not just the cyberbullying, it's just that they didn't get the expectation that they wanted out of it.
Acknowledgement.
Yep.
Yeah, don't we get like dopamine shots and hits from those likes, that validation, our ego, and helps us feel better about ourselves. And we can be hooked to social media the same way that people are hooked to crack and cocaine and other drugs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. An interesting line in the study says that teams have been comparing themselves more to their peers and have been deprioritizing healthy in-person connections and communication.
Wow.
Now, this was pre-pandemic. So even before the pandemic came along, they were deprioritizing in-person communication. They chose to be on the network rather than, say, meet up at the bowling alley or meet up at the mall when that was a big thing before the cell phone came along. But the other thing that it presents is that teens can now harm or be harmed by others online.
Yeah.
Easily. Write a few texts, hit send. You could devastate the person on the other end just by a few words. And they've been... go ahead.
I remember a maxim, and I forgot who said it, that the value of a communicative tool is directly proportionate to the amount of time it takes to prepare it. In other words, when you sit down and write, you have to think about it, put pen to paper and so forth. But nowadays, you don't even really think. You just kind of instinctively thumb in a text or something and hit send. It takes no time to send it, and we have become, the old book "Depth Takes a Holiday." We have become as shallow as a parking lot puddle in our communications and exchanges with each other.
Wow.
Now we're zeroing in on the behavior of teenagers, but what about us adults?
We're hooked.
Let me get off my phone and I'll talk to you.
We're hooked.
Listen, it's so true. I mean, I have 2 daughters, and they both have iPads. And there are times when I say to them, "Can you put your iPad down and do something else?" And they'll say, "Well, Mom, you're always on your phone."
Boom.
And I'm
Checkmate.
Right.
Checkmate.
yeah,
No,
but I have important
that's
things.
where you need to be. You need an old mother on that one. Girl, don't be telling me you do what I say.
Back in the day, we didn't have phones.
That's where the shoe comes off. That's where the shoe comes off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what?
But it's true.
I also want to say this though. It's not only that. Hold on, Tal, 1 second. It's
No
not
problem.
only that, but it's also both young people and adults get involved with certain challenges.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen grown people dealing with challenges that they have, and they have these sugar challenges, or they have these cinnamon challenges, or and even though you have kids who are getting hurt by this, you're seeing older people who probably had some type of trauma in their life growing up or something like that, that always want to be noticed. They're using this because one thing that I recognize about this, Chuck, is that it's when we say social media, there's a vast range when you talk about social media, because Facebook is not Reddit. Right? Reddit is like the old time bulletin boards that we used to have.
Exactly. And anything goes almost on Reddit.
Oh yeah.
Really?
It's not governed.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really governed.
I didn't know. I've never used Reddit.
Look at Nick. He about to get tied up now. You got to preach on Sabbath. So just hold on a second. But what happens is and out of the article that we were looking at, it's questionable judgment based on what we think our society wants from us, or what we want society to accept from us. It's the same thing even with preachers online. They say you need to listen to preachers, and what is it that they came up with? How come my sermon wasn't as good as this? And now you're living in this because of social media, you're living in this low self-esteem type piece because of something that you saw, or you didn't get the same amount of likes or praise. At the last person. What is the difference between young people and when I say young, let's say children, okay? Children and adults. Ain't really not
much.
There is a difference.
How many churches and how many pastors have looked at their YouTube stream and their views, and they say, "Only got 75 views."
Right.
My word.
Yeah.
Don't they know I'm out here and I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread? 75 views?
They don't.
Yet Oakwood has like 1,000 views on Facebook alone, not counting YouTube. Like, what's wrong with me? I thought I could preach the gospel. What's going on?
I'm better than Bird. Hold on.
Yeah, that's when you start trying to denigrade Buddy Bird. Well, if he was preaching truth like me, people start coming off of that. I mean, but one of the differences between children and adults is, and one of the concerns I used to teach classes in parenting education is that and you may have heard the expression brain plasticity, and that is that the brain of the child is actually being reformed by their experiences to the extent that the illusionary world of social media actually transforms the brain of the child to the extent that they're not able to see beyond that illusion. Whereas our brains are pretty much calcified and fixed. And we recognize, okay, this is all foolishness. But the child actually begins to reconstruct a reality based upon a non-reality.
Yeah, and you make a similar point to that Dr. Robert Lustig said in the short video that the 2 programmers put together. He used a term, the obesity of the mind, meaning that these young people are getting so much data and so much traffic in their mind, and they're being affected. Their emotions are being affected. Their cognitive abilities are being affected, and they become obese cognitively with the equivalent of maybe junk food, you know,
Yeah.
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 a lot of consumption, but it's junk. And, you know, their ability to function normally with individuals have been, you know, grossly affected. The other side, the other ugly side of this that I wanted to just mention was that there has been an uptick in young girls being, you know, groomed
Mm-hmm.
to meet people,
Mhm.
you know, offline for
Predators.
dates and things like that. And there have been a number of investigations and research on this topic of, you know, luring young people to places they don't need to be. And it's simply because they are so bought in to what they perceive as truth online, and it is not. It's all deception. Not all deception. I'm sure there's some genuine, you know, friendships and circles that exist on there, but that's another very tragic aspect of what social networks are doing to young people and to adults as well.
Well, this is what kind of caused slight debate in our household. You know, we have two daughters. They're 10 and 12. My husband was like, no, they don't need to be on social media at all. There's nothing there for them. And here I am, you know, the communication director who's looking at all the wonderful opportunities. You know, they get to, you know, be inspired. They can find other young people like themselves and feel connected. You know, I'm coming. And so the compromise was, okay, but you're responsible for monitoring what they're doing.
Oh no.
Okay, so
The background, the devil is saying, "Moo." Almost happened.
Right.
Yeah.
but it's true. You really have to check in. You know, I have it so that, particularly with their Instagram, I get notifications. I see the chats. I see who they're talking to. I can see all the activity. But I also monitor their behavior. So when I see certain changes in them, you know, making certain decisions that they normally didn't make, I start digging a little deeper. Where did you hear that? Or why do you feel this way? I've never heard you express that before. And the more I dig, the more I see that they've watched someone on YouTube who did it. And so, you know, it gives us an opportunity, though, to go back, look at these people, talk things through. I mean, so to me, if you're not willing to take the time to do that with your children, then they probably don't need to be on social media. Because my thing is, it's not going away. I want to help them navigate it in a positive fashion, as opposed to just, you know, cutting it off for them altogether, because I don't think that's healthy either.
Yeah.
There are some positive aspects.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
I mean, teenagers have admitted that, you know, they were able to help a friend out of depression, help, you know, talk them off the ledge about committing suicide through social media. So it's not all bad.
Yeah. I mean, think of what would have happened to us if after the pandemic, if we didn't have social media and these tools that we are using to maintain the connection of our fellowships. I mean, we would, man, I can't imagine what would happen to us.
You know, one of the things that this thing is taken on is the privacy. You know, nothing's private anymore. If anybody have been around my brother, it's like when he comes around, we have to say, hey, don't put where we are on Facebook. Don't put where we are on so and so. Because what has happened is that if you start with young people, you teach your children a sort of privacy. Let's say there was no social media when we were growing up. It's like, don't be telling anybody what we're doing in the house. Don't you know, you don't say your private business of your parents fighting in the house or whatever the case may be. So it kind of eroded that, where now you can tell what's happening in of the fabric in someone's household by checking out 3 of those kids or 3 people's family members' social media. Then now you know what's going on within their household. So there should be a level of privacy that happens in the house that's only for you. We don't have that anymore. I'm not gonna say we don't have that anymore. What I would like to tell parents is that you got to guard those edges, you know, so that you could be able to teach your children something. Another problem that we have with this is that anything kids want now is on demand. There were certain things we had to wait on. There were certain things we had to wait for the next week before the Cosby Show came on, or you had to wait for the world to come on. And these things, they don't have to wait anymore. They could type it in right away, and before you know it, they could have a program that's already set, that's not syndicated anywhere else. And then you find that it changes, and you're right, Latasha, it changes the actual behavior of them. You say, wait a minute, I never heard them, I'm not even gonna say cursing, right? But I never heard them use those type of idioms before, or I've never heard, where did that come from? Which street value did you get that from? Those are the type of things that we need to look at as parents to be able to say, there's a change going on here. There's an attitude change going on here that we need to take cover of.
Wow.
Let me ask you, Latasha, do your daughters understand that you reserve the right to view their devices to see what kind of activity they have? Or do you trust them to the extent where you're not going to, do that and they feel uncomfortable with you interfering with their privacy?
No, they understand. And I was upfront with them. I said,
man, look at the attitude. You see the attitude, y'all?
I almost saw the neck
my
thing
head a
here.
little bit. Like, your mom went to bat for you with this social media thing here now. So we're in this together. When you mess up, that's a bad reflection on me. And yet, I try to give them their space. There was a time when, I can see that, like I say, I can see the chat. So I saw during school, someone was chatting my oldest daughter, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's school time. So I go right into the chat as though I announce myself as this
really
is her mother.
That's heartbreaking.
It's their school hours, please.
Wow.
That's heartbreaking right there.
Man, Latasha's the warden.
Yeah.
Like, she's in school. Stop messaging her.
That's equivalent to your parents.
And do they type back, "Oh, mom"?
Yeah, right.
Nope, they know, and they know they can't say anything to the person because I would see that too. So they just accept it. And
Go ahead, you narc.
Oh man,
Really?
Yeah, that's rough right there.
That's all right.
What some households have done, and this is a technology, and there are programs that you can set up in your home where you can restrict your child from going on the internet at certain times of the day.
Right.
You can cut them off. If you say, hey, look, 9 o'clock is it, no more social networking, no more internet browsing after 9 o'clock. And whether they voluntarily do that or not, the Wi-Fi network will shut them off.
But what if you still have data on your device?
We just take the device. For us, that's the most effective. All right. Check in your iPad right here on the dresser, and you'll see them in the morning.
Wow.
Okay, so let's go with adults. We had to literally not bring our devices to the table. That hurts so bad. I'm going to tell you, you talk about addiction, that it's like I feel like I'm missing something. Just for the 45 minutes that you sit down to eat, you're like, okay, wait a minute. Am I missing something? Did somebody say something that
you feel unclothed?
I guess so, Adam or Eve, whoever you but it does feel like that. But I could tell you this, it's possible to wean from it. It is possible. And especially Chuck, I think we were talking about this the other day. If you watch Social Dilemma, I think it is on
Netflix.
And this is an excuse, not more than a reason. I said to myself, from the time that I came in 2012, I've been connected to young people through social media, or even those who work in the conference, as far as laymen are concerned. And I kind of use that as an excuse. You know what I mean? That, I have to keep this on because of
right.
But if you watch Social Dilemma, you would take your phone and be like, if those people who make the apps and those who if they don't allow their children to be on social media, how in the world? Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it?
Because they know the real deal.
Right. And in that short video, those app developers pretty much discussed their remorse at developing the apps they did, because they just had no idea that it was going to end up being a health crises for young people.
Yeah, you're manipulating minds.
I think we all need to be careful, though. Look at GP, because he's about to have a baby, and he realizes that the baby's going to come out of the womb holding a cell phone. Right. And he's wondering, he's going to go back and say, Jackie, we can't have that baby. Just hold on to it.
I'm in New Jersey preaching, and this baby could not be three years old. I just could not. And they're holding the iPad and following me as I'm going, because I walk up and down, following me, and I'm thinking to myself, this cannot be recorded. And I remember thinking it while preaching. I go back to the parents who's sitting there. I'm saying, what was she doing? And she was recording you. I mean, actually recording me. Yeah.
Right.
She has her own games. And she cannot be 3 years old yet.
Well, those parents are going.
She's probably checking up on the sermon too.
Yeah. Well, those parents are going to be on the internet soon for all the wrong reasons. Trust me. Trust me. But,
listen, and you want to get real dirty about this. My daughter is 22 years old. She has a friend that quit school and look, want to talk about upsetting the basket. My daughter has a friend that's 22, that's around her age, that quit school because on OnlyFans, which it's a provocative site that you can make money off of. It doesn't even have to be sex, but it's a provocative site. She's making $30,000 a month.
Say what?
A month?
Maybe you didn't hear me.
And 30 and
Now he's like, where do I sign up for this?
and what do you do? What does she do on the site?
Show your body.
Show your body. Show your body. You don't have to. They no longer have to go to the strip club. They no longer have to do.
No.
Now they're taking pictures, and their fans are paying $10, $15, $20 a month. And I'm saying to myself, Lord, I'm trying to find out if you're trying to find out if. No, come on, let's be real.
You could collect offering like that.
Yeah.
Collect offering. You're trying to figure out whether or not, honey, I can up your allowance.
That is amazing.
I can do whatever. But
$30,000.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. See, these are the dangers. And we're just getting started. People can criticize Congress that, why you dragging Facebook and YouTube and all those guys in for these hearings and what have you. Some of it is about money and being a monopoly, but the other part of it is a concern of what the effect it's having on American citizens. Especially
I'm amazed. I mean, at the risk of over spiritualizing it, the first lie that was told was in a garden where someone said to two innocent people, "And ye shall be as gods." I mean, and the idea of being able to constantly take in information, be aware of everything around you, and then to be able to create images is the alluring power of social media, that you're always informed, always aware, everywhere at the same time, and then able to shape and create the reality as you want to.
Sally, is that the reason why the apple has a bite out of it?
I don't even want to talk about that. Do not have this discussion with him. Do not. I'm telling you now, I would leave the building. I'm leaving the building. I'm not having that discussion with you.
I mean, people have asked.
And that's why I'm a faithful Android user, right? Those who use the iPhone are standing in a garden.
Oh no, we're not going to get in the iPhone Android battle.
I'm done.
That's a whole nother, like you said, a whole nother show, as we always say.
Yeah,
I have a question though. So when it comes to setting boundaries for your children, and I'm going to get there soon, but God told Adam and Eve, you can, roam the garden, explore, but this is the place I want you to avoid, and it's for your good. Like, how can we set those same healthy boundaries for our young people?
It's a good question.
Hallie, before you, the other lie is thou shalt not surely die. Right? Okay, so I love that first part that you came up with. The problem is that we're only seeing the good stuff happen online. There's no way. I know me. If I preached a dud sermon yesterday, it didn't work out, I can go and press the delete button and hope that nobody saw it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can get rid of it. But the truth is that the only thing we're really putting online, whether it's Reddit or whether any Twitter, whatever it is only the good stuff. We don't put anything bad of ourselves that's out there. So the concept of you shall surely die, and Satan says to them, no, you won't surely die.
Not right now.
Not right now.
Maybe.
That's one of the problems that we have with social media, and I think what we were talking about earlier was the self gratification, and the quickness of self gratification that you get from social media is that you don't have to wait later on to see how this whole thing, you can get it right away, no
Right
matter
now.
what it is. So it does, and you know what, we as Adventists need to cut out these two things, money and sex. That's not the only problem
That's right.
that brings you to the table. Just
No.
throw that out. It's the pride level, it's the self-worth. And I'll put it to you, GP, like this, because by the time you turn around, that kid's gonna be walking around grabbing your phone. He or she, right? She's
She.
gonna have
Elizabeth.
conversations just like you having a conversation. She's gonna be talking on the phone, talking to no one. They learn. No, it's true. It's gonna happen. They learn
model.
us, right? Yeah, they're gonna model what we do. Where I see we're at right now is that there's a culture that we're in. Remember, this thing was in 2018 that you're talking about, Chuck.
Right. That's a study from
Before the
2 years ago.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? There's no church, there's no school, there's nothing now without technology. And so we're kind of stuck. So what do we do from here? How do we do here's something we need to talk about later on. How do we do ministry with our kids, like Pathfinder, Cub Scouts, all those type of things now? How do we
I was hoping you'd mention that.
things when they go to school all day and take the same and have to do the same ministry after?
Virtual.
Yeah.
Virtually. So there's a whole lot to deal with here. There's a whole lot.
That takes us to GP's question, which is, how do we create those guardrails and create those healthy boundaries? And the good news is that me being 108 years old, I don't have to worry about that. But man, in about a month, GP,
Right.
let me tell you,
Yeah.
the field of epigenetics says that children now come predisposed with things that you learned and experienced. That there are things that will happen in the parent's life that become attached to the DNA of a newborn child, and so our children are coming to this earth with a greater predisposition to be inclined toward this stuff.
It's true.
Right.
You asked GP that, in the article, it does mention for parents just 3 basic things in which Latasha, talked about what she's doing in her household. And that is restrict access, monitor, and communicate openly.
Yeah, right.
I think the communicating openly is where some parents have a problem.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they don't speak the language of their kids now. How do I get through to them when they're on their phone or their tablet all day?
Yeah.
I don't even know what they're talking about. I don't even know the slang, word anymore. And I try to sit down and have a conversation with them and they don't even communicate with me.
Everybody was on Facebook. This is before the pandemic, right?
Right.
And everybody went, I'm talking about the young people, they all left Facebook. And do you know the reason why they left Facebook? Anybody?
Because you were there.
Y'all were there.
We were there. The parents were there, right? And they go over to that and Snapchat. They felt safe.
Instagram,
and Instagram, TikTok, all
Twitch.
of that.
Right.
Twitch? Let's not talk about Twitch.
I don't even know. What's a Twitch?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
A whole
Twitch, when I grew up, Twitch is what Elvis Presley did when he was dancing.
Nick, you're just kidding us when you say that. You're on all those social networks.
Twitch, wow.
The man is 108 years old. He already told us he's a dinosaur,
but
right?
to just kind of bring this down. Things are changing so fast now. I mean, you've seen the Apple commercial where they're pushing the iPad, and the young lady's on her iPad for school, for fun, for art, and then her mother calls her in for dinner, and she says, honey, put down your computer and come on in and eat. And she said, what's a computer?
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as far as she was concerned, the tablet she had was not considered a computer.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, time's moving on. I think we need to really, really pay attention, especially as parents. But one good thing at the end, let me just say my final comment is that I did learn of a young lady in Canada who during the pandemic, she wanted to do some personal ministry of her own. And she wanted to, all she had was a phone. She said, how can I reach out to people and do ministry on the phone? So what she did was she started doing Bible studies with just a few friends, maybe 3 or 4 friends. And then it became 5 or 6, 10 or 15. And within a month time, she had 150 people joining the Bible study on a cell phone. So it's not all bad, as technology can really spread the word and bring light to a lot of people. And it's the convenience of the technology that makes it even more effective.
Yeah.
And I'd add to that, as we're wrapping up, GP, and back to your question about those safeguards that we can create for our children. I think for me, the most important thing is making sure my children know how to make wise decisions, that they themselves can identify, from Philippians 4:8, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, think on these things. So, because I know I'm not going to always be around. I know they're going to get older. And like you said, they're going to figure out those ways to get out of the restrictions that we set. But if I can instill in them values that will allow them to make these decisions for themselves, then I feel that I've been successful, because I know as they get older, they're going to figure out how to do things the way that they want to do them. My goal is to make sure that they choose to use social media in the ways that you just described for the good, and not necessarily be attracted to so many of the negative things that are out there.
Well, your household is blessed to have someone like you to do that. But think about those households where there aren't parents.
That's right. That's right.
There's not a father, there's not a mother. And the only connection they have to any moral values,
the internet,
is the internet.
Right. And what they consider to be the truth. I'm going to go by what you just said, Latasha, because I think it's clear, and I think GP could understand this. Especially Nick and Chuck, who have grown kids with this. They're always, you got to leave something with them that's greater than the social media.
That's out there,
right? That's out there, because no matter how you look at it, whatever you put in their hearts, they're going to remember, and they're going to hear over the beat. You understand what I'm saying? They over the noise. They know that when they go to high school, when they go to college, because those times are coming up real fast. And GP, I'm not even playing. As soon as you have this kid, she's going to be walking, and you're going to be like, he was just pregnant. What's happening here? Right? But everything, remember, and when that kid comes out, Nick is right. We're dealing with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of all of those things. The kids are coming out with these type of dispositions now, where now you got to ask yourself, what app can I use to be able to slow down that monkey mind? What app can I use? What is it that I can use right now? You know what I do? My kids are grown. I text them Bible verses. As much as they don't want to hear it right now, I'm hoping that the right Bible verse comes around with the right time of whatever is going on.
It will.
That happens.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Latasha, on this thing, is that you got to infuse within them what the devil's workshop, and when I say the devil's workshop, not the devil himself, because Chuck, all good can come out of this, but that workshop that's presented, we got to make sure that they know that what we're telling them, they might not live for it now, but good night, they'll hear about it, or it'll ignite later on. And I think that's one of the keys that we have to do as far as parents are concerned.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah, you want to put a stop to it and make them really angry? Get them a flip phone.
You don't know nothing about flip phones where you had to press the button 3 times to get
Get me started on flip phones.
They will get roasted and cyberbullied.
Well, Latasha, I guess we refer to the video. We'll put that in the show notes.
Sure. Yeah, so everyone can check that out.
Go to the site. They can check out the article and view the video. It's important because I think you'll get the behind the scenes mentality of those who develop these apps and develop the technology, what they're thinking, and their level of moral responsibility.
Absolutely.
What a crucial discussion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we go, can we give them a challenge? Like,
let's do it.
What can we do to just let go of our devices just a little more this week? Like, is there a challenge? Like someone say something, drop something.
Yeah, I think that we need to extend the concept of Sabbath to devices even. I mean, that'll scare us to death.
I watch your service on my phone, Tally.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm not so sure how that'll go over.
Can I be honest with you? I'm gonna tell you something that I have done, and it burned me till it's kind of difficult to even sleep at night. I've taken my phone and I've turned it off.
Have mercy.
At night, and when I'm going to sleep, I've turned it off. Wow. And I've taken it and I've took it off of my bed. I know this is gonna sound crazy. I had it literally on my bed with
so you
me.
can reach it.
so I can reach it in the morning. The first thing you do is pick it up. Okay, what happens? Go ahead, Ty. What are you going to do?
I can see that game show host now, and that's the final ring for Patrick Graham. The $5 million goes back into the pot.
We just couldn't reach him. We keep getting voicemail.
You know what, Nick? Forget about what you
know
said.
what I do.
Your voice.
You know what I do on that end as a technology, just to make this real quick. I have a do not disturb function on my phone, and at a certain time of the evening, it will not notify me. It won't ring. It won't vibrate. It won't beep. But I also have exceptions for family members.
Right.
So if a family member, for some critical reason, needs to contact me at 1 a.m, their call comes through, but nobody else. So that's one way.
Chuck, I did use that. The problem is me. The discipline is me.
Right.
So and I'm not saying everybody needs to do this. It's something
Sure.
I needed to do. I needed to put it
Sure.
on the opposite side of my lamp or whichever, because
Not
it's
so
really-
easily reached.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's not easily reached and not thinking about it. So that's one of the things that I've decided to do as far as it's concerned.
Yeah, I like that challenge. And one of the things I do, here, I'll echo, is I put it in a separate room than where I'm going to be. So if I'm going down to the kitchen or to the den area, I'll leave it in my bedroom, because what I've noticed about myself is if I don't see my phone, I tend not to pick up my phone. But if I see it, it's just a reaction. I'm automatically just picking it up periodically, almost, for no reason at all. And so my challenge would be, try losing your phone in your own house, meaning put it out of sight for a little while to see if you really miss it as much as you think you would. That would be my challenge.
Let's hope you'll find it. $800 phone.
You may want to leave the ringer on just in case.
Good point.
Yeah. But,
Well, I think we got to go. This conversation has gone to the dogs now. So.
literally, right?
Literally, yeah.
Hey, Simba.
Well, I think what should we say the moral of the story is? It's
Be balanced.
I would say that for young people, teenagers, where this all started, is that parents have got to get more involved. Parent or guardian needs to get involved in social network traffic with their loved ones.
And I'd say, Charles, even for we're adults, temperance in all things. I mean, we know that there are a lot of things that are good, and there are a lot of positive things about social media and technology that we've pointed out. But no matter how good it is, even water, you can drink too much water in a day.
Yeah.
Find that temperance and that balance, and I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, my advice is to stop comparing your behind the scenes with others' highlight reels. So live your life and be grateful for what you have. I'll say it one more time because repetition deepens the impression.
Yeah.
Stop comparing your behind the scenes with others' highlight reels.
Beautiful.
And I think
Nice
that
to
GP,
say.
as soon as your child is born, you should just take them right to Tasha's house.
Yeah.
I'll get it straight. Bring her over.
She's mean. She's mean.
No,
Hey, this was
I'm
great,
fair.
guys. This was great.
Yes, it was. We enjoyed the discussion. We hope that those of you watching, maybe this will help you have a little dialogue with your child if they're on social media, and maybe make you rethink how you use technology. But we thank you for tuning in.
We'd like to hear your comments too.
Yes,
We'd like
I
to
was
hear
just.
what your thoughts are.
Thank you. Put them, if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, put them in the chat. But also, if you want to email us so we can, bring up some of your thoughts in a later show, do so at upset@aecsda.com. Make sure that you are following us on all our podcast platform. We're talking about technology now.
Follow us on all of the social media that we told you to get away from.
Right.
Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you are.
This is the good stuff, right?
Yeah, this is the good stuff. So, thanks for
Yeah,
joining.
folks, don't use drugs.
I'm dead.
That was good.
Exactly.
Chuck, I saw you. Chuck is like,
Yeah. No, that's incense.
All right. Until the next time, guys, it's been fun. We'll see you for the next upset next week, Sunday at 6 p.m.
Say no to drugs.
Take care, folks.
Bye.
Bye.